Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and welcome back to the Coffee Cast. Right here, we are going to be featuring two amateur players. This was a replay sent to me by none other than aciesSpawn, who is just so happened to be spawning on the top right corner here on Tal'Darim Altar. This is going to be a ladder match. This is just a standard Tal'Darim Altar, which really there isn't that much of a difference between the standard and, you know, say the MLG version. Normally they'll just remove little doodads that might take up a little extra sight. His opponent on the left side is going to be the red Terran player, ImAsian. So ZvT matchup, a pretty straightforward one in the current metagame. However, Spawn was telling me, I believe he was telling me that this game was really back and forth, or there was something special to it. I can't remember. He sent this to me a few days ago and I already deleted the email. I just pulled the download off. If you guys ever play a really nice game on ladder or a really cool game against your friends, please feel free to email me at coffeebreak1337@gmail.com. That's coffeebreak with an O, 1337 at gmail.com. I totally will go ahead and cast that for you. In fact, that's a great way to get your game up on YouTube. Rather than playing, Amateur Attack is great, but there are just so many games in there. I will rarely pull out a game to go ahead and put up on YouTube because it takes so long to find it and all of that, and it takes a long time for it to render. But if you send me just a single game like this, it's a lot easier for me to just sit down, do this one game real fast, cast it real fast, and start rendering it while I go off and, you know, do whatever else I feel like doing. We do have this 15 or 14 hatch, a pretty early hatch coming out of spawn. That is completely standard, and we should be seeing that spawning pool following it up fairly shortly, and indeed it is dropping down. Terran player doing the same thing, just dropping this barracks down. For those of you who don't know, I will be announcing this on Amateur Attack tonight. It is currently February 15th, I believe. I'm going to be changing up my Amateur Attack schedule. So Amateur Attack will now be on every Monday and Friday at 8 o'clock. So I'm changing the dates up a little bit. I'm no longer going to do a live procast. I'm going to do procasts offline and just upload them to my YouTube. So Amateur Attack, Monday and Friday at 8 o'clock. And there will once again be no more procasts. This wall is not quite a complete wall if it actually does allow that drone to get into the base. It's going to be really annoying for ImAsian, as it's just going to allow this drone to scout around, see what's going on. aciesSpawn definitely knows what to do with this information. Sees that there is only one gas geyser, no add-ons being dropped quite yet. And the drone is actually even going to get away with one oh. Too soon. Too soon. Spawn will, however, know that there is going to be this factory here, and that almost always indicates early Hellion play when you just do this one racks factory. This is about as standard as you can get as Terran for an opening build. So I don't think Spawn will be surprised at all to see that. In fact, there we go. We see he's just going to go ahead and lay it on a spine crawler. I wouldn't be surprised at all. There's just enough room for an evolution chamber here, and that is probably what he's going to do because he is pretty good, if I may say so. He was actually, for those of you who don't know, the winner of the Coffee Cast tournament. And actually, as I say that, he manages to run his Zergling straight by the SAV, which does allow it into the base. It's not going to be too big of a deal, as once again, at this stage of the game, everything that you're seeing here, completely standard. And I mean, this is kind of that standard that you try to play against unless you scout otherwise. It's just this fast hatchery into Zergling speed, which we haven't gotten quite yet. He doesn't quite have the gas for that as he is mining off one gas. Might actually go for lair tech instead. It'll be kind of interesting to see what he does decide to do with that. Double Hellion production is on the way. 2 Hellions just about to pop out, and those will be the first 2. So probably just going to get, I would say 4 and start moving out, maybe 6. And actually moving out a little bit early there. I'm a little surprised he's moving out with his first 2. Probably just going to take the watchtower. Wouldn't go much further if I were him, though. Because really, there's not much you can do with only 2 Hellions running around your opponent's base. Other than just kind of scout around. It looks like he is going to check this 3rd base. Being a little active with those. But I would suspect he'll wait for those Hellions number 3 and 4 to try to do any sort of pressure or contain. We do have the metabolic boost on the way, and another 100 gas already on the field. That next 100 gas seemed like it came a lot faster than the first 100 gas. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. I know Spawn does like to play this late gas style where he'll probably take all his geysers very, very shortly. I wouldn't be surprised either to see him go for these rocks, but he doesn't really have anything to kill the rocks with quite yet. The aliens are going to be pushing in here. However, the queens and 2 spine crawlers going to be more than enough to go ahead and deal with those Hellions, push those back. They won't be doing anything against aciesSpawn. But again, that's fairly standard out of Terran players. You kind of expect those Hellions not to do much. There's going to be this Overlord flying into the base. Actually going to notice double reactored factories. I'm a little surprised to see that second reactor, but it does look like we're going to switch that out with the barracks. I don't know what the point, once again, of that second reactor quite was. And it looks like he is actually going to be canceling that barracks there. Just trying to fool his opponent in spawn into thinking that he was going to do something else with that. Or, gosh, what is he doing? Okay, he's laying down a third factory now, so it looks like we're going to be seeing very heavy Hellion play with a little bit of siege tank or maybe an Inferno pre-igniter to back it up. I don't know how effective this is necessarily going to be at this point in the game. I don't like how late all of these Hellions will be coming out onto the field. As, I mean, look at this. Spawn has had more than enough time to react. He has 3 spine crawlers on the field. Once again, I would have loved to actually see him drop an evolution chamber or something, start walling this area off. But other than that, I mean, he'll be more than prepared for this. We do have a Baneling nest on the way. It does look like he's expecting a little bit more biological play. Hellion's actually fairly decent against Banelings. I mean, Hellions do count as light, and Banelings do get that extra damage versus them. However, I mean, Hellions are just going to, well, I mean, Banelings are light as well. Hellions get the extra damage versus the Banelings, and it's going to be kind of a bad situation. It looks like we're seeing this kind of, a lesser played style. It's a little bit, I almost want to call it fresh, but it's kind of an older style that was really good, but never gained popularity for some reason, and that's going to be that heavy mech play. We're actually seeing Hellions and a Thor coming out on the field right now. A lot of time you'll see a couple of siege tanks mixed in later on for some sort of Baneling, just to protect the Hellions from Banelings. As siege tanks a little bit better versus Banelings than Thors are. Thors do absorb a lot of the damage, but sometimes it's hard to get them to the front of that army. But yeah, I really like the playstyle that we're going to be seeing out of Asian here, as once again, I feel that this is a very underused style, and we do see this tech lab going down on the barracks. These 2 buildings probably going to be switched off. If you're a Terran player, I would totally recommend you experiment with this sort of strategy. A lot of Hellions out on the field. There are 8 Hellions knocking at the front door right now. Roaches there, though, are here to defend. And 2 of the spine crawlers have moved up to this third base now. This base is going to be fairly secured until those Thors really start coming out onto the field. I don't think that this has been scouted yet by aciesSpawn, and indeed it has not. In fact, last you knew this factory didn't even have an add-on on it. It looks like the barracks are going to just drop down, start making another tech lab. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see another factory being laid down. Off of 2 base, you can produce off quite a few production facilities as a Terran player. And we can actually see our Terran player is banking up just a little bit here, but it also is, I'd actually mainly say that's because he is supply blocked at this point in time. Hellions are trying to push around into the third. They do know that this third is here, that's the important part, but they did lose one of their own because of it. And, oh, I heard Zerglings somewhere. I don't know what the Zerglings were hitting at. There really isn't anything for them to hit at. We do have a third command center on the way. I like this decision out of Asian. Gonna need to take down these rocks fairly shortly, as this command center about halfway done. There is going to be a couple of Mutalisks coming onto the field for aciesSpawn. Once again, Hellions roasting away in here. Gonna actually save this queen with 9 health left. Beautiful job by aciesSpawn, burrowing that queen at the last second. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out that our roaches are going to be getting tunneling claws later on in this game. They are getting glial reconstitution, which is that movement speed. Mutalisks are not going to be all that great against Asian because he has these 2 Thors on the field. In fact, I can see that being the exact wrong unit to be getting in this case. I mean, obviously they're going to be great versus Italians, but unless he can take out these Thors fairly quickly, he could find himself in a world of hurt really fast. But we do have these 5 Mutalisks over here. Actually, the Thors are kind of out of position. There is 1 back here to help defend, and now even that one moving out of position a little bit. Mutalisks are going to be flying into the main base, and they're going to see all of these factories. And now Spawn's got to be scratching his head a little bit, got to be a little bit confused as to all these factories. I don't think this is something he ever would have expected. There's a missile turret going up in that mineral line. However, that's not going to get up in time. Thors are getting awfully close, so they need to get these Mutalisks out of there. Not losing a single Mutalisk quite yet. Just needs to scout down, hit this third base to see what's going on, and then he will know everything that his opponent is doing. I really feel Spawn might want to consider taking a fourth base at this point in time. He is banking quite a few minerals, but gas is really a limiting factor in this build, and actually is really the limiting factor in a lot of builds. When you kind of go up to a fourth mining base, considering that, you know, all your bases still have minerals left in them, the only reason you'll ever take that fourth is to go ahead and begin. Oh, we have a lot of Mutalisks with a miss rally flying straight over this Thor army, losing quite a few there. I think you lost 2 or 3 there. But the only reason you'll ever take a fourth base when you have mining going on at your other 3, mineral mining going on at your other 3, is to go ahead and get more gas income, as you really don't need the minerals. We have a lot of drones coming out, pathogen glands as well. I like the pathogen glands, and an upgrade I would love to see out of aciesSpawn right now to counter those Thors would be that neural parasite. Yes, you do have to get a little bit close. However, it can actually be super effective if you use it properly and just kind of get 1 or 2 of the Thors in that army. It could be very effective. A lot of these Hellions are actually quite damaged. I'm surprised there hasn't been some sort of repair on those. It doesn't look like Asian wanting to clean up a little bit of this creep. No fourth fish on the field yet. The Roaches are coming up to engage the Thors. The Thors are kind of out in the back of the army all alone. And now all the Hellions, the Thors are shooting the Zerglings. The Hellions are shooting the Roaches. That is exactly the opposite that you want to do that. However, it doesn't look like Asian's going to have enough to pull out in this army. That one last Thor does die. The 3 Thors did die in that combat. And that's exactly what Spawn needs to do, as he can reproduce his army much faster than Asian can reproduce his army. Really needs those 4 investors to get out on the field and into this engagement very shortly. I don't know exactly where they're spawned. There's one up there. One in Fungal Growth did go down on top of those Marines and Hellions. And there's another Fungal Growth on top of those Hellions. And we can use one last one on top of these Thors to catch those off guard. But no, there are Hellions up in the third base as well, rushing away at some of the drones. And really needs to make sure that these Thors don't get away, as once again, these are just free units to pick off at this point in time. And one last Fungal Growth does go down there. Maybe, oh, nope, there we go. A couple of extra Roaches coming in to go ahead and pick off that last Thor. A fairly even engagement, but I would definitely give that that overall over the aciesSpawn, as once again his army so much easier to reproduce. In the resource loss, we do see aciesSpawn behind by about 800 minerals. Not the most telling fact in the game. However, it's always kind of nice when you're looking at your first couple engagements to see how exactly those do go. Asian did manage to pick off 22 workers in that last engagement. Spawn has only picked off 6 with his Mutalisks, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Mutalisk production just die immediately at this point, as once again with those Thors on the field, a little bit difficult to be able to do any sort of damage. We do have Terran vehicle weapons level 3 on the way. That is an upgrade you actually don't see all that often. A lot of players will just get number 1 or number 2 just to help out with the splash damage on the siege tanks, but with this mass mech build, very important obviously to upgrade those as highly as you can. I'm really surprised actually to see that the armor is not being upgraded at the same time as getting 3 armor upgrades on your Thors. I mean, they have 4 armor in that case. Zerglings will not do anything to your army, and that's actually a super important point to make, because Zerglings are nice to get the surround on the units just to hold them in place. And now we just have a lot of Roaches coming on the way to counter, and I really feel like that's the best option. I would love to see Tech up to Ultras at this point in time, just get some splash damage down on these Hellions, which are getting Fungal Growth at this point in time, catching a lot of those Hellions out in the middle. One more Fungal Growth might be able to finish those off, and yes, indeed gets that last Fungal Growth down, killing so many Hellions all at once. A couple of siege tanks are sieged up now, but I'm not exactly sure he's going to siege those, as this combat is getting a little bit hot. I don't know exactly if he's going to be able to pull out, but running the Infestors right up on top of all of that, he's still in range of one of the siege tanks. I think that he was trying to get out of range of all that, and the siege tank will be able to clean up these infested Terrans easy peasy. Did manage to pick off 1 extra siege tank with those, and with these few reinforcing units, I think it's going to be just enough for Spawn to hold. Asian will have to fall back. He will not be able to engage this. Really, really like the style that Asian's playing, though. He's definitely committing to this, and that's exactly what you want to do. It's working for the moment. He hasn't been able to do too much damage, but neither has Spawn, and that's an important point to make. Noodlisk are over in the main base at this point, and managing to pick off one of the tech labs that's going to be very, very bad for Asian, but it doesn't look like that these Noodlists were being looked upon, because there's another engagement over in the middle of the map. Some of the Rooks are trying to engage the Thors, and C6, and it looks like they might be able to pull it off, but no, too many Thors there, and Spawn did lose the rest of his Mutalists. Taking out this tech lab does halt the production of Thors for a very short amount of time. However, that is definitely something you want to do as much as you possibly can. Once again, I would love to see Ultralisk on the field fight tank, which is the Thors here, this tier 3, with another tank. And just be able to run up, start breaking the siege lines a little bit, and get the Roaches right on top of that army, and be able to annihilate it right after those Ultralists do die. I think that would be a great investment. We do have some Roaches running through the third base here, coming back. It looks like they are going to start trying to pick off some SCVs here. Like this play by aciesSpawn. He's just keep running around the map, doing damage wherever he can. Weapons level 2 on the way for Spawn, just about to finish up here. However, that is going to be outmatched by the weapons level 3 that has just finished for ImAsian. And now it does look like we do have a couple of Thors in that mineral line to help clean up those Roaches. Going to be coming down here, scouting for a 4th base, which just did finish up very, very shortly ago. But the Roaches, it does look like, are going to be in position to defend against us if they would start moving down in that general direction. He saw the army moving down here with his creep. I don't know why he's not running up to try to engage us right now. The Roaches are just sitting there. There we go, now trying to push down, but it might be a little bit too late for that after that fell instantly to this Thor fire, doing 39 damage per shot. That is so much. And with all these SCVs for mass repair, it's going to be very, very difficult to take these down. However, so many Roaches could just one-shot these Thors, and there's nothing the SCVs are going to be able to do about that, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing. That was a very nice engagement with aciesSpawn. Yes, he did lose his 4th base, but he took a huge army advantage in this game, just now dropping a starport. I'm not exactly sure what that is going to be used for, to be quite honest. Maybe to get a Raven. I don't know what a Raven would be used for. I guess my guess would be Banshees, as aciesSpawn currently doesn't really have any anti-air. He does have the capabilities to shoot out Mutalisks and Corruptors, but a little bit of damage could be done first. I do not actually agree with the decision to go for Greater Spire. I mean, obviously, Broodlord's a great unit to have, but against Thors, which do have a pretty nice range on their Javelin missiles, a range of 10. That is, I believe that's more than a Viking, actually. Vikings have a range of 9, because I believe they equal a Colossus's range with Thermal Lance. And to give it just a little more perspective, that's just a little bit less than the siege tank range. But the range on a Thor's Javelin missiles, very, very long. It does look like we're going to be having this push into the 3rd base here. Pardon me, 4th base, going to stop that from going down. And now going to be actually lifting a few Roaches up into the main base here, just to do a little extra damage. There you go, there's a good estimate of how long that range for the Thor is. About this far, just a little bit less. There's a huge amount of range. And Broodlord's going to be able to get picked off by those. Now, Javelin missiles don't do the most damage, but, I mean, it's going to be enough. And, yes, that doesn't mean that they're not focusing on the Roaches. However, it's still going to be really, really nasty to be losing those Roaches. And it looks like 2 of those Overlords with Roaches are going to die. And I feel like Spawn's kind of losing this moment of opportunity here. He was ahead 80 supply for a little while. Could have run up and done a little bit of damage, I feel. I guess he's just not quite feeling confident with pushing out at this point in time. I'm going to go ahead and fall back home, wait for his Broodlords to come onto the field. There's that Neuroparasite upgrade I was talking about earlier. But Asian just kind of getting some medevacs now, I suppose. I don't really feel like drop play is going to be doing all that much for him. He's already let the macro of his opponent kind of really, really ramp up. And while, I mean, drop play is always nice to see, I feel that with this style of play, it's not the most effective. Generally, you want to do drops when at least you have some bio mixed in. But in this case, we have absolutely none. And I feel like that was just a little bit of an investment he did not need to make. He's actually continuing with that medevac production there. A couple of Roaches are burrowed over in the main base here. Just going to be able to unburrow and do a little bit of damage at any point in time if they so desire. It looks like Thor production has halted for the moment. We do have 4 Thors on the field. A scan goes down on top of these Roaches, so Asian doesn't know exactly where Spawn is. It's going to be kind of a tight engagement once these 2 armies do finally clash, as the upgrades fairly similar. I would actually give actually they're pretty similar all total. And it looks like, once again, I think the big factor here is going to be these Brood Lords going to go ahead and spawn here. I think that's going to be kind of the moment for aciesSpawn to go ahead and move out. Just get a little bit going there. We did have this 5th base built down here. However, the rocks are in the way. I don't know why he didn't just build it here instead, because then at least you'd be able to do efficient mining. Hellions are going to be pushing into the 4th base. He's going to start doing a little bit of damage to Blue Flame, roasting away at these drones. It only takes 3 shots to kill those, and actually the scan does go down to be able to kill all of these drones. All of those are going to die. That's going to be a very painful experience for aciesSpawn, dropping quite a few drones there and actually falling below his opponent's harvest count. And now his army is completely out of position. Only might get 2 Hellions. No, only getting 1 Hellion. And if Asian decides to move in here, Spawn's army once again completely out of position to deal against that. We do see 41 workers killed by Asian. 30 killed by Spawn, so it's been fairly back and forth in that worker battle. Spawn actually never quite getting up to that ideal amount. Neither has Asian. Needs to really keep up making those workers. The Brood Lords are on the field. The Thors are out of range to attack these. They're not even moving in to try to do damage, and there they are now coming in. And there goes the fungal growth. I wouldn't be surprised to see some neural parasites going down as well, but no, just dropping some infested terrors instead. And a nice little engagement by Spawn. Not quite doing the damage he needs to do quite yet. Needs to make sure not to get these Brood Lords clumped up too badly here. And now the Thors actually just ran straight into that engagement and didn't even try to shoot the Brood Lords. And it looks like Spawn's just going to absolutely raffle stomp this army. And it's going to take a very demanding lead in this game. 196 to 25 supply. And it's just going to continue remaking all of his roaches. This one siege tank is still alive. Oh gosh, that's killing my OCD right now. But that's not going to matter too much, as all of these Hellions are pretty much just going to be at the mercy of this army at this point. There's not nearly enough DPS. And there's the Manor Mules dropping down from Asian. A very, very nice playstyle by Asian. I love this mech build. It can be very, very potent. Obviously, though, the roaches, very difficult to deal with. And especially when your Zerg player is just going to keep massing and massing them up like this. Spawn had a very nice reaction. He didn't scout it very early on in the game. Kind of scouted it as soon as it started coming towards his front door, but was able to defend against it, able to get these infestors out with that fungal growth, those pathogen glands, to get the fungal growth out immediately. Switched completely off his Spire Attack. Beautiful maneuver by him, because that was really going to be the death of him if you wanted to keep up with that, because these Thor are so good against Mutalisks. Very well played game by both of these players. Great job by aciesSpawn to go ahead and counter that mech play very smoothly. Never really had too much of a disadvantage in that game. Took it all in very good graces. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and I thank you for joining me here on this amateur game. If you have a game that you want me to cast, please send it to coffeebreak1337 at gmail.com. Coffeebreak with an O, 1337 at gmail.com. And I will go ahead and cast that for you. Don't forget, folks, Amateur Attack Monday and Friday at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the road here. So until next time, folks, this is Coffee Break, signing out.